this. There we go. Yeah, so this is gonna be like just in English, Spanish, Spanglish, whatever you want to throw in there.
Okay.
Again, yeah, just kind of like wanted to talk to you like about really like you said, something super random as far as like accountability
Mm-hmm.
that like I felt that we both needed. And literally like your text message was like, because I've been literally posting like not posting, pushing back, like postponing, procrastinating, like literally my wife has like really nice like Sony cameras, and I'm like I actually did a what's it called, like a little, not a commercial but like a little Q&A for her.
Mm-hmm.
And we set it up with like the mic and like the cameras and like different angles and like all this different stuff, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, why can't I do this for myself? And I'm just like too scared to do it. So that's why I was just like, dude, it's a sign. Luis texted me. I'm like, we have to hop on really quick just so I can get it out of the way, just so I can get that first motion in, really.
And like that's the thing. It's just like, I don't know, you popped in my head, and I'm a firm believer when someone pops in your head, act on it.
Yeah.
And I acted on it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say hi. How are you? What's up? What's going on? And then yeah, here we are. But it's just like the thing is, why be scared?
Yeah. Oh my
Like I
God.
said, we only have one life. Act on it. If this is your passion, if this is your talent, if this is something that you really want to do, just go for it.
No, I 100% agree. And it was just something that, yeah, like I've been just postponing it, and I'm just like, oh man. And then like again, you were like the sign again from the sign from Aguascalientes to get on it again. So how's everything? How's Las Vegas? You said pretty much everything's back to normal.
Everything right now is getting back to normal. No mask mandate. So yeah, everything is going back to normal. I mean, there was the NFL draft. What was it, a couple of days ago? I think it's still going on right now. And then we have so many different events going on. I mean, you see the strip getting back to normal. It's like it's getting packed again.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad that that's happening. I went to the Angel City FC games. It's the women's like professional soccer team.
Mhm.
It was their first game, like home game here in LA. So they had like a whole event and stuff. And one of my buddies is a season ticket holder. So we're just like, let's go support. And it was actually a really good game. Like I was very surprised at how good it was. Like
I haven't.
if you've never been to a soccer game, I don't know if you like sports or not, but like that's the one that you can get the crappiest seat for
Mhm.
like $30 and you can have a really good time.
Hey, I love sports. Hey, I'm a I'm a Dodgers fan. So hey,
Okay.
if you have tickets, let me know.
Oh no, yeah. Oh my God. Like I want to go to a Dodgers game too, but like for a Dodgers game, you're paying like $100 like for like average crappy seats, and like the $50 ones are just like out and you can't see anything. Here
You're
for
all the
like
way to the top.
here for oh my gosh, for like it was like $60 for the tickets that we had yesterday, and they were like fifth row. Like it was super close. It was like a great time. So highly recommend going to a soccer match. Yeah, that's what they're called.
Definitely, I will go.
Have you been back to Mexico since last time we spoke?
Last time,
It was like
no, I haven't actually, to be quite honest with you.
uh,
A lot of things have changed. I mean, especially when you have, you know, a family member, a close family member, like, it's really hard. Things change. And, you would think, especially like my grandpa passing away, and that's the time that we went, I went, when
mhm.
I was talking to you. I mean, that was like the hardest time that I went through. But like so many things change. You would think that the family would be more united and being more close. I mean, as a Latino, being a Mexican, but we branched out. I
Oh,
don't
do it.
talk.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's just like, you know, one of my really close, cousins. He's like my brother and everything. His name's Junior. He just stopped talking to me. I mean, now that he had acquired what he wanted in life, and now he's kind of like, you know what, kick me right to the curb. I remember that time that my grandpa passed away, he would be like, we're brothers. I'm gonna be here for you whenever you feel sad, or if I feel sad, like we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna reach out to each other. You know, it didn't happen. So I kind of feel in a sense like, I do feel sometimes alone, but it is what it is. This is how life is. My other cousins, my family, like, yeah, we branched out,
Are you
you
talking?
know,
Are you talking about like family members, like either here in the States or like back in Mexico?
back in Mexico and here in the States.
Okay.
So it's just like we just branched out. So
No, it's sad.
yeah.
It's definitely sad. Like I always feel bad because again, like being born here, we would always go to Mexico and like we were always like that, like it's like family or like kids that would come in summer, 3 months, 4 months or whatever, and like we would always leave. Like we would be like los del norte, like we would be the ones coming to visit. And like I am pretty close with one of my cousins. He's like my age. Actually, he was one of the first people that I had on here, and I have other cousins that I've like. One of them, I don't even know when the last time I talked to them, and like we were like not super close, but I think like just like growing apart and like everybody kind of wants their own thing in life, and most of them are just like working their asses off and trying to probably too tired to reach out to anybody. So I could definitely see that, and like especially when you go through especially for us as far as like our connections, like when your grandparents aren't there anymore, and like the family, like who's going to hold down like that hub, and if nobody does, then it kind of just like it's really hard to go there. Like I'm scared because like so I went in December. It was my mom's 70th birthday, so we went to
Mhm.
Mexico for like a week, had the whole party, 100% not COVID safe. But it was just like a little rancho in Zacatecas. Like it was very like cool to see all of the people come out to support, like in support of my mom. But again, like for us, as far as like my family, like she is like the not I guess like the rock as far as like all of us going down there. Like my older sister, I rarely talk to her, not because I don't want to, it's like I just don't know how to relate to her. She's so much older than I am.
Mhm.
And I definitely struggled with that. Which is like I beat myself down because like I don't know how to reach out to her, and I'm sure she would literally just appreciate just like hey, how are you doing? And I'm just like too scared to do it sometimes.
Yeah, because you're just like in a state of mind. You're just like, okay, well, what do I say? How do I start? But the thing is, it's just, sometimes oneself has to start and just say, hey, it's just being who you are naturally. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At least you tried. It's kind of like, you're trying to form that connection in a natural way, a very organic way. But, you know, sometimes don't like you have to
Yeah.
let things naturally. Don't push yourself. But
No.
with family, I mean, you would think like, what, parents are like my abuela said, like we are basically the honey and the bread. We go ahead, we connect everybody, we gather everybody together. And then after that, once you don't have the honey in life, you just have the bread. Well, nobody's gonna want the bread because the honey's not there. It's
Yeah.
just a tasteless bread that nobody wants. So it's just like now it's my grandma, and she's 90 years old. She recently
Dang.
is not,
That's
yeah, 90 years old. And you would think, we would be more close and united, but unfortunately, that's how it is. And I've seen so many different families, especially Latino families, that once grandparents are no longer there, even parents, that everybody just kind of branches out. But I don't know if it's like one self fault, or is it just like the individual, like cousins or relatives or aunts and uncles whose fault. Like we just branch out. We try. I mean, I know we have our own lives and we try to make a living, but we lose ourselves in the process. At the end of the day, we have family. El dinero va y viene. Money comes and goes. And we sometimes forget about our connections with people, and we need connections in life. If we don't have that in life, what's the purpose? There's no purpose at all. And people forget, and that's the thing I always tell, like, I haven't even reached out to my cousins in such a long time because I would be the one reaching out. They would not reach out to me. I would reach out to them.
well.
You know,
Let's again. I guess for accountability partners, let's do like reach out to 2 cousins that you haven't talked to in like a minute. Like,
Okay.
all right, like in my mind, like I already know at least one that I haven't talked to in like a while. Um, and I wanted to reach out, been told to reach out just because like it's not like there's no animosity, there's nothing. It's just like haven't spoken to him. So let's do that in the next like this weekend.
Okay.
By Sunday, I'll text you my 2 cousins' names, and then I'll let you know that I texted them, and then I'll wait for that response for you too. So we can
Okay.
just, yeah, it'll be like it can be something as simple as like, hey, how's it going? Just wanted to touch base, not even touch base, just like, hey, how's it going? We haven't spoken in a while. What's up? And if it goes nowhere, then it goes nowhere. But I'm sure the fact that like at some point, if you're close with somebody, like it really just takes that little one step to like ignite like a new relationship from something that was old. And again, like we're all our like first generation like Mexican American, Latin Americans, like immigrants. We do have this like very much mentality of like try to do it ourselves, try to figure it out, and like that engulfs us so much that do lose ourselves and like lose family members for dumb reasons or no reason at all. It's just like we're too busy trying to survive. So let's do that, man. I really like that we should reach out to people that we haven't talked to in a minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that, but I'm gonna be very blunt. Hey, what's up? What's going on with you? Why haven't
Yeah.
you talked?
Oh man, you gotta be nice, man. Gotta be just, hey, let's go. Or maybe for years, yeah, it could be a little bit more aggressive. But for me, it definitely is more of chill. Like I don't have to push any buttons because it's never been like you like said like you and your cousin were probably closer than I was with my cousins. Again, for one of mine and that who lives in Zacatecas, like we every now and then just like, hey, how's it going? Like just randomly just text each other, just like, hey, how's it going? You good? Good. How's work? Good. I'm like, cool, keep it going. But it's just more like he knows that I care about him and then that he cares about me. And I have another cousin or other cousins that are like in the same age group that I don't do that with. Which so I feel like that's gonna be interesting or fun.
I think what we definitely can do, and this is something with the wisdom that I have acquired over the years, right? Like I always say, la vida es muy corta, right? Why don't you and me go ahead and we start making a conversation? Hey, how are you going? But also explain to yourself, like, hey, it's been such a long time, we haven't talked. I definitely do care about you. And I want this, you know, like our family to go ahead and rekindle. Sometimes we have to be very, kind but yet direct in knowing what we want. It's just like in life. You sometimes, in order for you to acquire what you want in life, right? You sometimes have to ask the right questions. If you don't
Yeah.
ask the right questions, it's just gonna keep on going in
Yeah.
circles and in circles. You have to just be honest and direct. Hey, this is what I want. This is what I would like to do. Let's go ahead and work this out, and let's go ahead and talk every. It can be every 2 weeks. It could be every 2 months or so. Whatever time frame. But it's just like, let's do that. Like let's just go ahead. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it doesn't, that's not on us. That is
Yeah.
on them.
It's not going to be for a lack of trying, which is I think a lot of people kind of get stuck on that, like, well, they haven't reached out. Well, you haven't reached out either. So like, and again, it can be like once or twice, and if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. But I'm sure I have a good feeling that it'll go somewhere. Again, it's usually our generation is pretty okay with like talking. I think like sometimes the older generation, like, so I don't know if you remember, like, so my sisters are quite a bit older than me. They're like 16, 17, and like 20 something years older than me. So like
Mhm.
my oldest sister is like 53, I think, 52.
You're the baby, I think, right? Within the
No, but
family?
it's my little brother.
Is your little brother?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's us two, the youngest ones, definitely oops babies. And then like the girls are the oldest, with like trying to bridge that different mindset and like trying to teach them stuff. And I feel like that's a lot easier for us to like just to talk about stuff.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, with our generation, it's much easier. Millennials, it's much easier. I feel like we can form more of a better connection with, family members. It could be with other people, and we know how to communicate. But remember, there's
we
like
we
Gen Z.
we try to communicate, and sometimes we're not very good at it, because I think like depending on what your background is, like some people are like just feel attacked for everything. And again, depending on how you word stuff, like you remind me of my little brother, who is like very blunt, very direct. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I'm like, not a good way to go, not a good way to start, guy. So I'm just like, you need to calm down, learn how to like maneuver your feelings so like you can actually get further with people instead of like just quickly blocking them off. But
Hey, but
yeah,
that's the way. That's the way to go. Okay, if you're explaining your little brother, that is me. I'm very honest and I'm very blunt. And it's just like, to me, why beat around the bush? You know,
yeah,
whatever you want in life, just go for it. Ask, if somebody says no, it's no. If somebody says yes, cool. You tried, you know? And I mean, I think that's cool. I like how he is.
yeah. Some say, yeah, it's good and bad, definitely.
He gets in trouble for it.
Oh, yeah, but all right.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
so one of the things that you had talked about, again, it was like manifesting our dreams, some of the stuff. And you, I remember, were trying to, or kind of like on the fence about doing more of production, music, R&B, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
How in like the last, what it says, like July, so 8 months, 9 months, 8 months,
I
how
think it's
has
8 months
that,
ago.
yeah, how has that been going? Have you done anything?
So,
Again, and this is not to put you on the spot, but it's more like, again, like our, again, like this is like our accountability group going through it, because again, I think I might have done 1 or 2 videos since in the 8 months, so that's not much from on my end. So I was wanted to see where you are. What's like what are your thoughts? What are your things that you kind of holding back?
so with that, ever since, I mean, the last time that we met, have I done anything? I have not. I did try and, start creating stuff, and honestly, they're just sitting there. But I was actually kind of thinking, and I've been going through such a long process in life, that, sometimes, I ask myself, what is the purpose of life? What is my purpose? And it's just like, I love singing. I definitely do love singing. It's something that I loved since I was a little kid. But is it, I asked myself, is it more of a hobby for me, or is this something that I do definitely want to do more for like a career, career oriented than anything? But, I haven't done it. And why? The reason, it's because of fear,
Yeah.
fear of being judged, fear of, as a, Mexican, in the Hispanic culture, especially here in the United States, if I would be launched, because I feel like, not to be, well, not being even racist, but it's just like, white, the Caucasian community has more of opportunity than there is, for Mexicans or Latinos or anything. So that's why, like, I went ahead and I just stopped because of fear of that. So with the whole thing, I really sat down and I really thought about it. I always have a journal with me. I even have it right here, like I always have a journal and I write things down. And I did ask myself, what is my purpose? So I seriously sat down and I said, you know what? I went from singing into the whole clothing industry, the fashion industry.
Okay.
And then that's something that I definitely am passionate about, something that I really want to do. Cause it's just like, one day I'm like looking at my mom, she was a fashionista. So she used to sketch, she used to do things like
Mm.
that. She took a class, and, I was kind of scared going towards that. It was in the back of my head, and, like being Hispanic, especially in a, like Mexican background, like very machistas and
Hmm.
whatnot. No, you can't do that. That would be like that's homo. That's like,
Yeah.
that type of stuff. And I'm like, actually no. Like it's not, we're
It's
putting.
it's hilarious. Like, oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll
No,
run the
go
back up.
ahead.
No, I'm saying like the whole like machista thing. Like I've talked to so many people about it, and it's just like it just confirms that like men are so like fragile, in the
Mhm.
sense that they have to like put like the front, especially like in the Hispanic community. Like, dude, when you get a bunch of guys and they're all drunk, 100% they're gonna start crying and start singing to some song. It's gonna be some random song. I'm just like, oh, you guys, the big macho man over here. I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Because it's so dumb. So I'm just like, so all of the like, and then you get like, because of that, and then just music and different artists, and like, oh, you think that's like Kim? Like 90% of the actors or artists that you love are probably gay. Like it's like your world revolves around this like community. I'm like, they're a part of you. Don't worry.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so you're going more into creating fashion, like creating a
It,
line, or
it's creating because I definitely am very I've been like I want to go ahead and do like I saw I'm not naming the store, but I went into the store and I'm just looking at the whole stuff for men and I'm just like, this is actually really plain. Like this is not something that I would want to wear. I see so many young men and I mean of course older men. They go through the aisle, they look and they're like, you know what, this is something that I don't want. This is something that I'm not gonna buy. Even if it's for $20, I'm not gonna buy it. It's a waste. And I'm like, you know what? I have a talent for it. I definitely have a keen eye for creativity, and I know exactly what people would like, especially for men, because you know, I feel like the fashion industry is kind of sexist in a sense because you go to, TJ Maxx and you just see a lot of more variety for women than there is for men. You just see this one little small aisle for men. You're like, is this what we really get? This is
well,
so limited.
I think it's done that way on purpose. It's not that we don't have options. It's that, again, going for me, like I go to the store, I need pants, cool, 2 pants, cool, those pants fit somewhat okay, done. Like I don't need like 30 like I don't need all those options, and I think that goes for a lot of guys. Again, having like, what stores are like your inspiration, like what are your like when you go to shopping, like where do you go?
Shopping wise, I mean, Expressman. I go to H&M. I go to Hollister. I go to American Eagle. Yes, I still go to those stores. I mean,
I'm
because they're
like,
like,
what
they're
do you
still.
do? What do you do? You're a grown-ass man. You need to stop going to those stores. Jesus Christ. I was expecting like, you started off good like Express. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's nice. And then you're like H&M, and then it went downhill fast. Holy
Hey,
crap.
hey, you know what? Sometimes the pants are still good. Hey, you know what? I'm able to still
Man,
fit in those pants.
go to Target. Those are better pants at Target.
Hey, no, I don't want to
The
go there.
Go get the Goodfellas. Goodfella line are really good.
Hey, that next thing you know, you're gonna tell me go to Old Navy. I'm like, no, thank you.
Dude, I have 2 pairs of jeans from Old Navy.
Oh my
Uh,
God, you're just like my brother. Hey, the reason why I don't like shopping on the stores is because of the quality of the jeans. I
yeah, oh,
like going
that
to, American Eagle, you go to Hollister, you get like that nice fabric, like,
is it. I was never that generation of like going to Hollister. Like the most, yeah, I never went there. Like I don't even know where I oh, I had a phase, the Jersey Shore phase
mhm.
of going to like the Buckle. So I would like go spend like $100 on jeans. And granted, did they last forever? Yeah, they did. But it was like, yeah, they were bedazzled.
I remember they're like very country, very Christian type. I don't know. They're
It was
like,
no, it was, yeah, it was weird. It made no sense. Yeah, that was like the most expensive pair of pants, and now it's just like, as long as like, I think, yeah, the quality is always going to be crappy. And I'm actually pretty familiar with a lot of fashion stuff. So my wife, before we moved to LA, my wife wanted to go into sustainable fashion.
mhm,
So any kind of like recycled stuff, like companies that make shirts or pants or clothing out of like water bottles or like waste or any kind of that stuff. We were going, or she was planning on going to either the Fashion Institute here in Los Angeles or going to one of the 2 schools in New York for fashion design.
mhm,
But this was back in 2016. Yeah, 2016. The programs weren't ready,
mhm.
meaning she she wanted to focus on that. She's like, I don't want to do like, as much as we go to H&M, H&M is not a good company. Like again, but that's every company, whatever. But she wanted to do something sustainable. The programs weren't there, so she kind of like lost that. But like in that like year and a half of her like really diving into it, because she actually worked with a company. They're I don't think that no longer in business, but they were like making their shirts out of like recycled water bottles, like their
Mhm,
jackets. Um, there's a tiki leggings. I believe those are
mhm,
made out of like water bottles. I know like Nike and Adidas and all of them have had like projects and stuff, but like the shoe, like the products are always ugly, which
mhm.
it's so dumb.
See,
Um,
that's what I'm telling you. It's
it's
always
it,
about
it makes no sense. Yeah, to make it look good, and like it's kind of like the electric cars. Electric for the past whatever, like most electric cars look like garbage. And
the
then
designs. Exactly.
Tesla comes, makes an actual cool looking car, and then Ford and Chevy and everybody's like, cool, let me make a decent looking car. And I told my buddy, like, I have 2 years to build a business to afford uh the Chevy Silverado electric truck.
Mhm,
It looks like it's a kind of like a Avalanche design.
mhm.
It's super nice. They're like, oh, cool. Like Tesla's trying to make this crappy square truck thing. There's a couple other EVs, but again, the design wasn't there. And then literally the two biggest manufacturers in the US were just like, cool, hold my Bud Light. I'll be back. And they make two of the Ford EV truck is crazy. Like the mileage, what it can do. It's just, it blows every truck out of the water. And then the Chevy one just looks better than everything.
It's like, and that's the thing, like comparing it to fashion and like designs on cars. Finally, we are getting different designs. You always see every single year the same model. They change somewhat of the headlights or something different. And you get bored of it. You're like, okay, well, I don't want this type of car. It's just it goes as with clothes too. You
Yeah.
always get the basic designs, and you're just like, why? Like, I feel like a lot of people are just going what minimalist now.
I think for a lot of men, it's minimalist or like it's crazy wild. So maybe like something that you could do is like, I don't know, like what your current wardrobe is, like doing like the TikToks of like I've seen again, like you get in these dark, not dark, deep holes in TikTok, and like cool, an hour and a half passed, and now I know how to dress, but have none of these clothes. Where they're like, we're gonna pair these like pants, and then they give like 3 outfits or whatever. So like kind of like teaching people how to dress, I think would probably help. Because for the most part, yeah, just a basic t-shirt. Every now and then, like my wife would be like, "You need to dress better." I'm like, "Cool." Like, let's go to the store, pick something. Because like I feel like I'm pretty okay, like with like dressing and like being presentable and like always going like again, kind of with the Mexican background of like, oh, you're going to the store, get dressed up. Especially like in like Mexico, like it's like, oh, you're going to El Pueblo, like look presentable.
You always have to, and I think like that's how our culture is. It's like you're gonna go out, you have to look your best. You definitely have to do that, and that's what I like. I'm like looking at. It's just like, I want to look good. It's about self love. You if you look good, you feel good. Your mental state will look good, and that's where I want to try to go with this. And it's like I wish honestly like men will lose their like whole machista type thing, and they actually would take care of themselves. Self-care goes a long way, because you know dad will show their wives like, wow, like this is the man I like married. But a lot of
Yeah.
men are like very machistas and like, oh well, that's very homo, or that's very this, like all this stuff. But it's you know when you said like they do it on purpose, because like men don't really take care of themselves. They don't really care. Like when you said, oh, I only go ahead and I go to the store if the two pants, like if I try pants, if they fit, okay, like cool, let's go, let's done. Like
Yeah.
what do you say, do you care, like when you go out, do you care about like your appearance, like
I've always
clothing wise?
been, oh, I'm the guy that dresses up like out of my friend group. I'm like, gotta look presentable. I'm like whatever it is, like I always take care of like how I look. Like if I need to wear a button up, or like whatever it is, like I'm very much on top of it. And I think that's just from like how we grew up as like kids. Like it was always like, oh, we're gonna go do this. Like, okay, go get dressed up or go get whatever. But I'm very okay with it. Like, dude, uh I have credits from like one of my credit cards that has like, it gives me like $50 to Saks Fifth Avenue. It's
Mhm,
expensive Macy's, like for like luxury brands. For
mhm.
And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do with $50? So I'm like, now I have like $50 worth of like eye cream or like face moisturizer. So I'm like, my skin is glowing right now.
See, I'm telling you,
That's
like, you know
hilarious.
what?
That's
It's
funny
like,
because my wife's like, oh, you should like get a moisturizer. And then like, I'm like, well, I got $50. I'm like, I guess I'd get like, I'm not gonna get $50 worth of socks. Get two pairs of socks for $50. I'm like, let me get some like nice like what's it called, like Jack Black lotion. It's like the blue one. I know you've seen it.
mhm.
Like it's
Oh, I've
like,
seen it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like $50. I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like, I guess I'm whatever. So now I have like really good skincare routine going.
What would our dad say? Because my dad, no, I know for a
Dude,
fact they say.
I don't know because my dad always like always took care of his not appearance, but um like he obviously like worked hard like in the field doing like general labor, but he always put on lotion. That was his thing. Like he always put on lotion. So I was like, my mom thinks like, just don't be ashy, just put your lotion on. And so like Nivea in her house was like a staple everywhere. So like, I don't know. I think he'd be okay because like all of my mom's brothers were always very like present yourself well, like wear your aftershave, smell good. And that's for me too. Like my one of my biggest fear is being the person that smells bad. Dude,
Exactly.
I have a stick of deodorant in my car, in my gym bag, like a bunch in the house. Like I had one in my office. Like if for whatever reason I forget, like that's my biggest fear. And then I'll rather be the guy that smells too strong like cologne than smell like BO. Like
Hey,
and
I'm
that
the
was
same way.
and that's like again, like then my dad's older brother, like very much the same way too. Like he was always dressed up, like presented himself very well. So I think like that kind of like little by little always gave me like, oh, that's how like for at least for my family, like that's how men should be taking it. Like you should work your ass off, and then like after you're done working, you should look presentable.
But that they would be like, but don't overdo it. Because I'm over here. I'm gonna be quite
Oh, dude,
honest.
no.
Like
Oh, dude, my uncles had like when they were like our age, like there's pictures of my uncles with like because this was like for them, this was like 80s maybe.
Mhm.
They had the long hair, dude, they were tight skin pants. Like, dude, I'm telling you, it's so dumb. I was like,
Uh,
you're
what do they say now? You know, like, oh yeah.
they're very okay with it. I think like I've never really heard them, at least not from my family directly. But I know one that's like very like he'll kind of has like the polite like homophobia like he makes like weird comments, but they're like not super aggressive, but they're just like zing, like a little zingers every now and then. I'm just like, what the fuck?
And they did it though. Like that's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
They did it, but then after that, they look at it like now and they're like, oh yeah, but
But
we would not be doing
that's
that.
like that's everybody though. Like that's in the US too. Like think of like the rock bands in the 70s and 80s. Like, dude, all these guys were like it's not cross-dressing, but pretty close. Like they were like the like all of the Nirvana, like all of those like that genre of like rock.
White Snake. I mean, the guy, the singer. I mean, like he had long hair
Yeah.
and then wearing freaking platforms sometimes.
Yeah, no, all of those guys, like, and it's hilarious. And so, but yeah, that's one of the things that like always sticks out. Like, so my appearance, I've always been very like conscious of like look presentable, even when you're doing like whatever it is, like be okay with like taking care of yourself. Uh, I've never been like on top of it, but like recently, I'm like, damn, I guess I'm 31 now, so gotta start taking care of myself a little bit.
Hey, you have to put your mascarillas on. You have to put all that stuff now.
Dude, I'll put one of those on. Dude, those things feel good.
Freaking mask. You know what? We're losing the whole machista type thing in Mexicans.
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting to a point where like the progression from like generations is like it's happening very very quickly, which is
Oh,
good
it
because
is.
yeah. So for going back to your fashion, like, are you trying to like design an actual clothing brand? Have you looked into doing that? Like what the process would be like talking to manufacturers, like, and the reason that I asked that is because like I know people that have started mostly like sporting brands, and kind of that process. It's I know it's very time consuming, but like, have you looked into that, or is that just something that you were like not even at that step yet? Or you're just kind of like for slowly taking action?
So so I've been slowly taking action. I mean, because it's just like with like work, it's just like it takes a lot of my time, especially like working in a freaking office that's like workers comp, 8 to 4, 9 to 5. It takes a lot of my time. I can't like to do so much, but I've been slowly doing it. I mean, I even have a book about how to start and how to begin. I recently met a guy who was from Colombia, and he came here to this country for a better opportunity, and he does a lot of the like designs. And he's just like, we were talking about it one day here at the South Premium Outlet Malls, and he's like, hey, like if you're looking for somebody to start making your logo, I can go ahead and help you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I kind of had it in the back of my head, but it's just like that's where manifestation
Yeah,
comes in, like if you know exactly your solid plan, it will happen. So I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and start doing it then. And like we've been meeting up every, weekend, every Saturday, and we've been doing that. But I've been like slowly going into it and looking and investigating, looking at all like the analytics and what people like, what people don't like. But sometimes like I have to think, like I cannot follow the trend. I have to follow what's right
that's
for me.
I think that was one thing that I was gonna say is like if you could stay away from like the fast fashion type of mentality, because I think that if you can make like clothing that's a little bit more expensive, higher quality, that like your staple like t-shirts or your staple jeans, that like these are like not going to be like the classics, like they're not going to go out of style. Because I think like, yeah, fashion goes so fast, and like especially for like, yeah, those brands like the H&Ms, the all of those quick fashion companies, like they're turning out stuff every 3 months. Like it's so crazy.
It is. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's more of like the interest of how much revenue we're going to acquire every quarter rather than I want to go ahead and do it. It's not so much for the money. It's more of like, getting my ideas out there, people loving my ideas, feeling good about like I like classy, I
Yeah.
like elegance, I like, especially me focusing more on like the men's side. I
Mhm.
look at suits like bespoke. That's something that I definitely want to do. And I look at the quality and I'm like, okay, this is awful quality. Sometimes they mix like polyester. Who wants plastic
Mhm.
in like their suits or anything or mixed? And it's like I know the type of fabrics that I like, the material, the fibers. I know what I want in them, and I've been like slowly, but I've been investigating a lot of stuff because I mean I want organic stuff.
Mm.
I want organic. I don't want something that is plastic or bamboo. Like I'm not sure if you've seen even like bamboo material being engraved into your clothes, and I'm like, why? Like, and if people knew how much water it takes to go ahead and create all this stuff,
Oh
like you
yeah.
would be like, this is exaggerated. Like for plastic, I mean, how much tons of water they have to go through to make it into such a fine, thin thread piece. It's
Yeah.
exaggerated. I mean, and
That's
that's
like,
the
yeah,
thing.
that was one thing with like the sustainability stuff that we found out, because I was like, uh they're like, well, I'm not gonna design clothes. I'm like, I don't have an eye for that. I'm like, what can I do? Like I can make the fabric for the clothes. So
Mhm.
I did a crazy amount of research on like the processing of like the plastics, how to make the plastic, how to make the recycled material, and how to actually make it into a usable format. And like you said, it just takes like tons and tons of water and like power, and like that we really don't think about. So like, yeah, the organic part, it's good. It's going to be more probably more complicated. Yeah, like once you start looking into the manufacturers, that's when it'll be like you get your samples and like more reliable companies.
And that's where I want to go. It's just like more organic. I want, and it's just like with the fashion industry, people really don't know, the dyes. Sometimes the dyes, they're so harmful to the environment. It's just like creating different things, like dyes that are more like natural, more safer rather than chemical based, and even like organic material for the clothes, and maybe who knows, I might make my own manufacturing company where I get to